Hello, TCI, Jonathan's Refuge, all of our faithful followers and friends. I'm coming to you live from the headquarters. It's been a long day. Uh, for those that have been praying and keeping me in your thoughts, I appreciate that. I've been to the doctors to find out after I had that big fall why my leg's getting worse. I had three fractures in my leg up at the hip, the knee, and the ankle. But baby, there's no excuses, no whining and no crying and no complaining. I went to work and took care of business because that's what real men do, real women. So let's get into the message. It opens with the headliner of, do you ever feel like you're alone? And the answer, I tell people when they ask me, how do you deal with feeling alone? Have you ever felt alone? The answer is yes. Um, and not, I learned I'm never alone first, but I'm by myself a lot. And there's a big difference. So you might feel alone, but you're not alone. You're just by yourself. When I got out of prison, I had to deal with cancer treatment, and I was by myself. I had a few of the guys around me in my group that would come. I didn't really enjoy taking people with me to the treatments. It's not that fun of thing. So afterwards, I'd go do my workouts. So I'd work all day, two jobs, 8 hours each, so 16 hours. I'd go home, get a quick shower, or I'm sorry, do the treatment, come home, do my walk, get a quick shower, go back to bed, and start the process over again. And it was during that time that I realized I am by myself, and but I'm not alone. And so, how do you first address the two differences? Being alone means you have nothing and nobody, and you are fully isolated, and you're never alone because there is this great thing called the Spirit, God. Everyone has different names for him, her, it, the, whatever you want to call it. But God has never left my side. God has always stayed with me. God is not a puppet master. There's no strings where God says, I'll have this child raped so that someday she can talk to the world and tell them how great God is. Bullshit. None of that stuff works. That's not real. That's not reality. That's all just drama, lies, and manipulation. God is the connected energy that is all. That is science, that is spiritual. We all make our own turn and how we twist of what God is. You see on my arm the word coexist, and you see different faiths in there, you know. And what does that mean? Well, first off, what it means is that it's all the same person they're talking about. So when you talk to my Muslim imams at my church, guess what? Mujah will tell you it's the same God. He calls him Allah. I call him Jesus, Jesus, right? You call him Krishna. Everyone has a different term. Everyone has a different spin for how they see it. And it comes through their eyes, the glasses of their life. So you'll see the Indian culture from the continent of India and the people of India, and they see God through their eyes. And then you go to South America and it's the same God. It's just through their eyes. Then you come into different parts of the globe and again, it's God, but it's through their goggles. And so one of the things that I've discovered is loneliness is one of the worst killers. I'm not a person who likes to be alone. I've never been a person who likes to be alone. If I had to be single for the rest of my life, I would probably do exactly what I'm doing and have people surrounding me at all times, kind of, and a little place to sneak off and get away. But I like people around, and I like being around people. But being alone is also a falsity because you're never alone. That's what I'm trying to explain. And you say, but I don't feel that way. Bishop, I don't feel that way. Guess what? Loneliness is a real bitch, and you won't feel that way because it allows all kinds of emotions to stir up inside of us. And when there's stuff that's not um, so well in our life that maybe you're struggling in areas, those things, insecurities start to rise up. And then when you're alone, you find yourself more insecure. You find yourself making choices you wouldn't normally make. But this is where you need to stop and say, I'm not alone. Hold it. I'm by myself, but I'm not alone. Someone says, "Well, when you were married, were you by yourself?" Many times I was by myself. because my partner wasn't there for me. It was, there for her. So that happens. And that's part of life. But you're not alone. God has always been with me. I can't explain it to you. When my child died, I remember reading the letter in my cell. I call it my house. When you're in prison, they don't call it cells. I lived in two house. So two house, um, it's just tough to even think about it. And when I got that letter, and I was angry because I said I was alone, but I wasn't. See, is with me. I always talk about our puppies, right? So there's our sweet baby Nala, and she is a puppy. You're about what, baby? 8 months now, maybe 8.5 months, somewhere around there. And she's our white German Shepherd, and she's a sweetheart. And so I find it interesting. Because she's young, she's very needy. So we call her our vocal girl. She makes a lot of noises. And if you stop petting her, she'll whine. And if you stop touching her, she whines. If you neglect her, she whines. Now why? Because she doesn't like being alone. But she's not alone. She's just by herself sometimes. And that is a it's a concept that you gotta kinda wrap your head around, because there's people in the different, faiths, from Christianity to Muslim to Hindus and different faiths around the world, and there's these moments when spiritual leaders have gone on journeys, and they physically have been alone or by themselves, because Jesus went into the wilderness for 40 days, but he was with God, he talked to God. Even it says the devil showed up to try to entice him and all that. So, you're never alone. But when you feel alone, can I ask you a question? Yeah, and I know some of you know what I'm talking about. You feel ostracized because of stuff you've done. I kind of make light of my past, but I need you to hear this. I was not a good man. I was a very bad man, and I hurt people. And there's not enough sorries in the day that I could say to ever make people who I have victimized and hurt and brutally beaten and just tortured. There's nothing I can do to ever to you can say sorry as much as you want. You can go serve time in jail the rest you want. It ain't gonna make a difference. All that stuff doesn't make a difference. I have done my part to try to apologize to society. I atoned with society. I did the time required. I've done time for the crimes I committed and crimes I didn't. And it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you're still by yourself when you face the judge. When you do your time, it's by yourself. When you are in that hospital surgery, there's no wife or child or family friend in it with you. It's strangers that you don't even know working on you. You're by yourself, but you're never alone. It's a small comfort, but it's a massive thing to know that God is walking with you at all times. There's been times when I haven't felt worthy. I don't want you to raise your hand, but inside, have you ever felt that you weren't worthy? Yeah, whatever you did, you know, that you can't be redeemed? I'm here to tell you, you can. I'm not going to say his name. He's a friend of mine, uh, a bad mentor from my early life, and hundreds of executions that he personally has been involved in personally doing. And he was famous for chopping their heads off, decapitating them while they were living, and then pulling all their guts through their out the torso, of the throat. I've seen things that you just can't unsee, smelt things you can't unsmell, and done things you can't undo. And that friend, I finally got him to leave that world. And I remember the first month that I had him relocated, his family, and he just called and said this simple message, and I returned the call because it was a very somber, almost like he was going to kill himself. He says, "I'm not worthy of a decent life. I don't deserve it." And I said, "No, you don't. Neither do I. But it's not about what we deserve. It's about we're going to do our part to try to put a lot of good back in before we go because we did a lot of bad. Maybe we can do more good, maybe we can't, but we're going to die trying. I broke my leg, fractured, three fractures on my leg, and it hasn't stopped me in 2 weeks. I don't say that stuff because I was a tough guy. I have nothing to, I don't need to show or prove anything to anybody anymore. Why do I do it? Because time is short. And like my friend, I didn't think I was worthy either until one day I could clearly tell you I heard the good Lord in my heart say, "You are my child and you are worthy." You see, I have a son in prison. He's on a murder beef, and he actually put a hit out on me. A guy that would put a hit out on me, no, I don't have anything to do with it, and I won't be able to stop anything. He'll end up dead. Because of who I used to be, there's a lot of bad people that are friends with me and love me. And especially now that they see I've changed and I've spent the last 30 years turning my life around so that I can do what I do, they're very protective. So when my son put a hit out, these men wanted to kill my son. And of course, everybody knows you touch my son, I'm coming and I'm going to take your whole clan out. There won't even be an existence of your name left on this earth. My son has a hit on me. And there's moments when I think of that and I go, "My God." Like, a lot of my friends, they chuckled when they heard it, but a couple of them that have known me for a long time said, "He's probably wouldn't be the one that kills you. He'd probably put a gun to your head and kill you someday." I said, "You're probably right, but I'm not alone. So when it's your time, it's your time." See, I don't worry. I mean, I protect myself. I've got 4 German Shepherds at my property, armed security guards. I got a guy with an AR-15 that protects everything inside. I got guys outside. I got patrol officers that we hire to keep, when I do certain trips that come with me. I was a bad guy. I got people that don't like me. So, yeah, I have security. But I stopped walking in that life. So I stopped walking in fear. Now, don't get me wrong. I just did a trip recently and I knew I was going to be heading into some areas and see people that, you got to be cautious of. So, yeah, you might want to have a security team with you or something like that. And that's part of life. Okay. But I don't hide. I walk down those stairs and right out that door. And if someone wants to, snuff me out, they can do it because it doesn't matter because I'm part of something bigger than me as a human. I'm part of this thing called the God consciousness. And that's what you are part of, the God consciousness. And that is where we are all connected. And you know it, and I know it. We're all brothers and sisters, black, white, gay, straight. It doesn't matter. Muslim, Jew, or Christian. Same God, just a different way we look at him. And so you're never alone. I want you to hear this. And I'm not just talking about me. You have me. If you need me, reach out. Hey, Bishop, can I talk to you this week? Yeah, let's get together. Let's have coffee. Let's go get a soda pop. I work a lot. I'm a big worker. I don't waste time. So if you want to catch up with me, it's a lot of times how you do that is say, "Hey, Bishop, what are you working on? I'll come and help and we can chat and come on out and help." So think of that and think of the most depressing moment. And I need you to then turn around and go, "Wait a second. Uh, I'm going to talk to my friend. His name is God. And let's just share with God all my fears, all my insecurities." I remember when I got the news that my son had been convicted and put in prison. And I remember talking to my people and trying to arrange protection. And he's so crazy and violent that there's no way to help. And I felt so alone. I mean, here's a guy who's got power to make one phone call and can move mountains, and I can't protect my son, my child, my baby. See, I don't see him as the way you guys all see him. He's little Max, his tattoo's right there. That's his dog tag. Over here on this arm is his family seal and his full name. And here's my bambino and I can't do anything for him. And so those moments you feel just utterly like I'm a nobody, I'm a worthless, no one cares about me. Do you know I got blood family? I only hear from two blood relatives in my life anymore. And one is by text only, and then the other one text, or sometimes we get together for dinners and lunches and stuff, and I take them out to lunch in California. And that's it. And that's it. The rest of them, they just wrote me off. And that's fine. It's funny enough, when I got back in the money, I laughed because half of those relatives then started calling. And I said, I'm not sure who you are, but I'm your cousin. I'm your family. I don't know who you are. you, y'all use Jesus in the Bible when he said, who are you? And they're like, well, Lord, it's us. Like, I didn't see you in prison coming to visit me. I didn't see you when I was homeless, hungry, naked, clothed me. Did you feed me? No, you didn't do any of those things. Bye bye. Someone asked me, one of my family members that tried to get connected to me again, they asked me, why is it I am willing to go off and purchase such and such for a friend and not even help them with their payment on something? And I said, because I don't know who you are. You're not my family. You're blood, but you're not family. Family doesn't abandon people. See, I have men right now watching this video, and they're sitting in a house with a man named Tyler. Tyler is our executive vice president of our nonprofit. And there are men in that room right now that feel worthless. They're not going to say anything. They look tough, they look stoic, but they feel worthless. And they feel worthless because society said, you're a piece of shit. You're worthless. But at Jonathan's Refuge and at the Church of Inclusion, we teach people you're not worthless. We teach people you are so valuable. We gave a second chance to a guy at our Jonathan's Refuge. And I always tell people your second chance came when I accepted you out of prison into this program, because your first chance in life was you being free and a normal citizen, and you screwed that up and went to prison. So I'm going to give you your second chance, but this is actually not your first chance. It might be your first with me, but it's your second chance. I don't give thirds. Now, I gave a third in a situation. I showed grace where grace was not earned. I believe in a person and I saw something, and I'm willing to push a little further to see if what I saw is in there or if it's just a facade. And some of these men, they just don't feel worthy. And our job is to remind them you're worthy. What you did to get in prison definitely makes you not worthy, makes you a scumbag, makes you this, makes you that. Absolutely all the above, but you're still worthy of God and God's love. And we not only teach that, we live it daily by showing the men. And that's why when you come to organization, like, last week we bought that, was a 25-foot pontoon boat, you know? Why? Because the men are worthy of it. We just bought the 51-foot yacht that sits 49 people on the ocean cruising. Okay. This is for my men so we can do parties out on the sound. 50 people on the sound, having a great time. Bring the other yacht out. Take another dozen out. Bring the pontoon boat out there on a nice day. Bring the big speedboat out. Bring them all out. Have fun. I show these men that they're worth millions of dollars. I show them that I'm willing to put money into them when they prove to me that they're willing to earn it. I'll help put a guy through school. I'll help put him through becoming a master electrician. Why? Because I want you to know something. You are worthy. Right now at our refuge, a place where it's named after me, Jonathan's Refuge, was named after a 7-year-old boy who was beaten viciously from his nose all the way over to the left side of my face, shattered every bone, broke every rib on this side except the bottom one. I just needed a break and I didn't get one. I didn't get a refuge. Well, right now, the men watching this are at one of the 4 locations that we have. And guess what they need? They need a refuge. Now, society, we want to spit them out, tell them they're worthless and they're not worthy. All you do then, folks, is first off, that's bullshit. They are worthy and they aren't worthless and they are valued. Now, Let's show them a path. And that's what I'm doing. I show them a path. Make no mistake, there's no easy path there. There's no free money. There's no free anything. There is no free lunch. It is earn it all the way. But that's the key. Showing the men that they're worth something. Those men will work so much harder to show that they are worthy of it. Are there some jerks, idiots? They're out there. Dumbasses? Definitely. That's why I refer to all the men as knuckleheads. I'm knucklehead number one. I call that an honor because I too was a knucklehead and I still am. I just learned, oh, don't be so stupid and don't think you're by yourself or alone. What's the difference? There's a big difference. Understand it, know it. You're not alone. You're just by yourself. And if you think you are by yourself and you need to have someone, reach out to TCI. We got some great pastors, some great bishops, got great counselors, great leadership. We've got programs for youth, programs for adults, programs for ex-cons, programs for registered sex offenders, programs for murderers, programs for drug dealers, for pimps, for prostitutes. We love you. We want you. We want you. We are looking for you. We want that person who has been thrown out of society and they say, screw this person. I want to help you find the peace and know that you are worthy. Know that God loves you and so do I. As the bishop of TCI, I want to thank you all for allowing me to serve as your bishop, as the archbishop of this organization. Sometimes can be a lot of frustration, not easy, but the worth comes in the end when you see a guy transform and you see a guy become more gentler and more kinder. One of my friends, Paul, I love that guy. He's awesome. Paul, I always call him the grumpy old man. Paul, he grumpy old bastard, and he still is. Man, he's learned. Okay, when JB's around, let's not be as grumpy. He's actually an amazing. I tell people he's a sweetheart, and they just look at me like I think you're smoking something. No, he is, and I saw that when I met him. But you know how you have a shell? We all have those. And if you know me and you think you know me, you're like, yeah, he's a hard ass. No, you don't know me then. I'm a big teddy bear and a big lover who just wants to let people know they're loved, show them a path of hard work and dedication and how we can improve ourselves and our society and show that we are worthy. And if they don't want to accept us, that doesn't matter. You're not looking for man's acceptance. You're looking for God's acceptance. And when you go to sleep at night, you know that God either approves or doesn't approve of what you did today. There's no eternal hell damnation. That doesn't exist. That's for a whole nother sermon, but we can talk about that also if you want. But there's no hell dangling over you, okay? You want to know where hell is? You're living in it right now. That murder of that girl and her baby by the two illegal aliens that came into America. Those two guys, that girl, she's in hell right now. Hell is all around you. Just stick your head out your door and look. But let me tell you what you do have. You have this beautiful deity called God. And all of your ancestors and all of the people who have gone before us are connected to this beautiful thing. And you're not alone. Know that God is with you. You're going to go through trials. You're going to lose children. You're going to lose parents. You're going to lose loved ones. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have broken bones. You're going to have strokes. You're going to fall down. You're going to bank your head. You're going to go through bankruptcies. You're going to go through divorce. You're going to go through people hating you, people loving you, people liking you. You're going to go through every aspect still. Having God on your side does not mean you get a skate through life, card. Doesn't exist. The pain and suffering doesn't change. So then why the hell would I dedicate myself to always talking to this God? Because God gives us inner strength that we don't get from anywhere else. When the doctor said my leg was that messed up and how much time they want me to rehab and all this, I just said, nope, I'll cut it in half. My rehab will be half. And he's like, "You can't do that." And I'm like, "Trust me, look on my medical file." And then he checked the file and he's like, "Holy crap, you did your stroke rehab at a house sort of?" So he's like, "Okay, maybe you are a guy who can do that." And I said, "No, not maybe. I am. I am the man that's a man and I know how to be one." And he, but you see, I only have that confidence because I know that inside of me is the same power that created the universe, right? And it's right here in my hands, my eyes, my ears, my brain, my heart, my soul. It's the same deity, and I have that power inside of me. I have a man at my refuge. Uh, and I don't use full names, but Robin, he's one of my guys, and he did an amazing job in his own time in cleaning up the back of a property to a place that we don't own but rent. Put a lot of effort into it so that he could have a nice little location and the men. And I watch how a person does something, and there's no benefit. There's no financial gain for him to do of this. This was just him going out of his way to make a place a little better than found it. And it's interesting when you see men and women that do those extra things in life. Okay. And I look and I find that people think when we do these extra things that God's going to give us all these little blessings. You hear me say the old term, we reap what we sow. So we sow good, we receive good. That good might not come in your lifetime. Okay. So it's not a quid pro quo. It's not like, hey, JB, you be a good guy and good stuff comes back to you while you're alive. I don't do something as a good act because I want to get something good. I do something good, a good act, a good deed, because it's the right thing to do. In sowing that seed, eventually it will come back. I might be a scumbag till the day I die, which according to some people is sooner than later. But it doesn't matter. There will come a point in history and in time where someone's going to look back and say some amazing things about me. And I won't be here to hear it, but thank God we're all connected. And I don't care if I get redeemed publicly or not redeemed from all the violent acts I've committed in my life, because I'm not here to answer any human on earth, including anybody that was a victim of mine. I'm sorry, but we're all on our own for that. I've got to deal with me and you got to deal with you. The people who hurt me and victimized me, I can't hold on to that forever. You got to let that crap go. So I was abused. So I was beaten. So I was molested. So I was this. So what? Get over it, sugar plums. You have to. And you do it by knowing that God is in you. And then you're never alone. You're just by yourself physically. And sometimes that is a burden. But sometimes that burden, when you start to realize that God is with you and you can communicate and talk to God just like you and me are talking, you don't need to go out and have any kind of a holy conversation. I shoot the shit with them just like I'm talking right now. We take a walk and I just start talking. You're like, who's he talking to? If you want to see me on my property sometimes, I'll be out somewhere and I'll be having a nice cigar and talking to God, or sometimes arguing with him because I like to tell God how I'm right and he's wrong. So, what's the message? You're worthy. Do you hear me? Listen to me when I say this. You are worthy of the love that God is giving you and has given you and will continue to give you. I love you all so much. God bless you. I look forward to coming out and seeing the men again. You guys take care. Enjoy Mr. Tyler now that he's back.